Hey everybody, this is Scoots. I make a Sleep With Me podcast, and the stories here at Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me are stories from our main show, Sleep With Me podcast. I only laugh because it's a lot of words, but if you really enjoy these bedtime stories from Sleep With Me, or if you're new, welcome, enjoy them. I hope you enjoy them. I hope they keep you company in the deep dark night, help you fall asleep. But if you really enjoy these stories, the best ways to help them keep it coming is to try out a subscription on Sleep With Me Plus at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, or just let people know about bedtime stories from Sleep With Me. It's new. It's something we've never tested out before. And by sharing it, letting people know about it is a huge way to support it and to let other people know what you like about it. So I really appreciate it. And I'd love to hear from you. If you sign up for Sleep With Me Plus, even for a trial, I'll send you out a video and thanking you, and you can reply right to that video. Or you could always reach me through the contact page on our website. Those messages come straight to me. Thanks so much, and enjoy these bedtime stories from Sleep With Me. Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster would say, I'm not sure if it's May the 4th, so I don't know if that could be with you, but may a good night's sleep be with you, or at least lulling, soothing tones and creaky lulling, soothing, creaky meanders. May the peace of creaky meanders be always a healthy distance from your ears, but just close enough that you don't need to listen to it, because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. Hey, everybody, this is Scooter. I make a Sleep With Me podcast, and that's where these stories come from, bedtime stories from Sleep With Me. And I hope they help you fall asleep. If you enjoy these, let people know about the show. Just share it when you share stuff. Hey, I really like these bedtime stories from Sleep With Me. Or you could always support the show on Sleep With Me Plus. That's how we're able to do this. You could sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. You could test out a trial even. But if you value the content we make on Sleep With Me and here at Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me, it's the most powerful way to make sure they're here and available for you now and in the future. And you can always let me know about it. When you sign up for Sleep With Me Plus, I send you a thank you video. You can reply right to that video, or you could get me through the contact page on our website, right at sleepwithmepodcast.com. So thank you so much, and good night. All right, everybody, Scoots here, and this will be interesting. And so I realized today, I had it like over the weekend and then today, I spent a lot of time kind of keeping an idea of like what I'm going to record during the week for the Tuesday, the random style episodes, that we have a couple different styles we do. And I thought of one thing or a couple things we'll be covering in the next year or so, but I said, wait a second, so I thought, like I said, we've covered a lot of the seminal movies of my childhood, and in my middle school, late grammar, elementary school, middle school, and high school, and beyond years, and some formative movie-going experiences. I don't know if we've covered them all, but we covered the Roger Moore James Bond movie with Grace Jones and Tanya Roberts and Christopher Walken, A View to a Bridge with Zeppelin. And while that wasn't a beloved, that was just an important movie for me. I think it was the first James Bond movie I saw in a theater. And I believe we've covered Goonies and Back to the Future. All three of those movies were related to a period in my life when I still played with toys. But when I became aware, that was just a big summer of movie going for me, and where I became aware that movies were made, that there were people that worked on movies. And it would follow up with another big summer, which maybe we'll talk about because I don't think we've covered any of those movies. Then another big movie-going experience for me was Beetlejuice. Another, movie memory I had that we covered was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And we've covered Beverly Hills Cop and Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Dustbusters. So all really important experiences for me. But the foundation was built on the first, there's the first three movies that I'm aware that I went to the movie theater and saw. Two of which were animated movies, The Sword and the Stone and The Fox and the Hound, which is interesting that their titles are similar in a sense. And then this movie, which I should have total recall of, but I don't think I have, and that is the first Star Wars movie I ever saw. And I don't know which episode it is. Episode 6, I guess? Star Wars Episode 6. Why do I always want to say it's Episode 3? 3, 4, 5. Maybe it's 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I think it's Episode 6. And it's called Return of the Jedi. And I think it'd be interesting for me to do a tale of the tape about that. But I guess I'll talk a little bit more about my going to the movie. I've talked about going to the movie before, even in the Beetlejuice one. And I can remember, I think this is like a kind of an idea of the power of Star Wars, though, in this period of time in the 80s, was that I don't know what year Raiders, or what is this movie called? Empire, no. Ewoks Make a Village? No, it's called Return of the Jedi. Okay. I can't even remember that. Or Jedi, as it may be called. But so I played with Star Wars toys, but I never saw Star Wars movies until Return of the Jedi. And I'm not even sure if this was on the first or the second run of Return of the Jedi. And this may be my imagination, but I thought that Star Wars A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back were so popular that they even had revivals before the third movie came out. So whatever they came out, then it came out again, then Empire Strikes Back came out, and then Empire Strikes Back came out again, and then Return of the Jedi came out. And I'm not talking about reprints or anything, but I'm not sure if that happened or not. But I can remember seeing, especially Empire Strikes Back, I can remember seeing the commercials on TV, all the cross promotions, and then the toys, but not being able to see the movie. Because, I don't know, they said, well, you're just too impressionable and young. We don't need you you can't go into, we don't need you trying to go a long time ago and far, far away. You're already far, far away anyway. And, we don't need, we don't need this, I don't know. I guess it's just too intense. Plus there's 6 kids in my family. I would have been old enough. And I don't know if my father or mother. What was interesting is I saw a lot of Star Trek movies with my father. Again, not on the first run, but on the, at a historical theater. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I ever talked about that, but I'll talk about it another time maybe. So at some point, Return of the Jedi came out, and my father decided that at least my brother Carl and I, and maybe my sister Sheila, were at a place where we could go see this movie. And again, my expectations were not based on reality. I guess I had been to 2 movies, so I don't know why I thought this, but I thought that they would give away free toys or they would have a toy store. And in some sense, I don't want to brag, but I guess I was a visionary. I thought they would have a pop-up toy store selling I thought they'd be steeply discounted because you paid for the movie, or they would just give you a free action figure. But if they would have had a pop-up toy store at the movie theater, they would have made even more money. So, not to give anybody an idea, because I don't know if any other movies are driving that kind of toy purchasing. I mean, I will say, I guess nowadays people do, it would be hard to track, and people would just keep the boxes and sell them on eBay. But I said, well, if you gave away a troll doll at one of those movies with every ticket, that would be pretty fun. So, I don't know. I guess it's I wouldn't need the kid behind me saying, hello, could you comb my hair? I'm a troll. I'm behind you. I say, I'm trying to watch Trolls, Throwback City or whatever the next, I don't know. I haven't seen any of those movies. Probably would. I don't have anything against them. I think it's Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick. I don't know. Is that who's in those movies? Okay, but so when I went to Star Wars, I was like trying to already plan out. I know they had, like, I didn't know anything about the movie, but I'd seen the ads, so I know they had the Grammarian Guard. And I probably wrote my brother in with him and said, well, what toy are you going to pick out for the movie when they give away the free toys? And I wanted the Grammarian Guard. And I don't know what my brother imaginarily picked out, but it ended up there was no free toys or toys for sale at the movie theater. And I have no idea what movie theater we went to, because whenever I think about it, and I'm like, oh, that's probably the movie. Is it like I picture this actual movie theater that we didn't really go to the movies at. The same movie theater, like out in the suburbs of Syracuse, where most of the movies I saw, well, maybe Camillus Mall would have been where I saw the most of the movies. Anyway, where was I? Interesting stuff here. Oh boy, or is this interesting stuff? So let's see. Okay, so yeah, let's cover the movie. I'm trying to think any other like memories I have. Just wanted to see the movie. So we were probably pretty excited. I don't, other than being disappointed that you didn't get a free. I mean, I remember really enjoying the movie and the experience, but I don't remember. And I also remember let down because I had unrealistic expectations of getting a free toy or trying to talk my dad into buying a discounted toy. Just an action figure. That's all I was asking for. I wasn't asking for like a, play set or anything. But at this point, I understand how the world works. So, okay, I accept it. So, what is the movie called again? Return of the Jedi, which is pretty important. So here's what I know. And again, you might say, Scoots, come on. There's no way you can't remember how this movie goes or the major plot points. And I say, do you want to bet? Because I bet you I can not remember. Because I can't remember. So at first I thought it opened on the on the moon of Endor, but now I realize, I said, no, it couldn't have started there because why? What are they doing there and why? So I said, you're right. Where does it begin? And I said, well, where did the last movie end? And I said, with the Lando double cross. And they say, okay, so that's where it ended. And like they get like, Han was placed like in a state of suspended animation, and Luke was had dealt with some of his father issues, which caused great emotional, impact on him. But he was rescued by Lando, Leia, C-3PO, R2-D2, and Chewbacca. And I guess Lando had parlayed that. So in some sense, like, we can't hold anything against Lando because really he said, this is the best I could do. I didn't really have a choice. They got here before you did. That's in the other movie, though. So it opens, I'm pretty sure this is how it opens. And it actually, when you think about the opening, at least, and you think about genres in films, you say, well, this is interesting because, and I didn't look at it this way, but it's a bit of a, like a caper style heist type setup. But it already starts, the beginning of the movie starts when that has already been implemented. And I say, wow, like I really like those choices because it has a lot more impact than if you showed the planning of it. They say, okay, that's not a way to start a movie. That this is just going to be a segment of, but then you say, well, okay, then what purpose? Well, that's where we left off. It's like a Saturday morning serial. So you need this sequence. And I say, well, it's a cool sequence. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying, and I say, is in like the overall arching plot of the three movies, how does it fit in there? And I say, okay, well, I guess one, it demonstrates where Luke is on his progression. So you say, okay, you're right about that. That stuff's impressive. And then it kind of tells the story of Han and Leia. Okay, fair enough. and then something happens, but you don't remember. Then, like, are you just buying time because you don't know what? And I say, no, I know what happened. I'm pretty sure here's how it happens. And it reminds me of Wizard of Oz as well. There may or may not be, I think what happens is, and no, I don't know. Like, I think maybe, do C-3PO, is it open with C-3PO and R2-D2 and they go to the door and that's like kind of the, maybe that is what happens. Interesting. So this is what I think happens. I guess I thought something else happened, but I said, wait a second, that doesn't answer all my questions. So now I think what may have happened is, so R2-D2 and C-3PO show up at the desert Tatooine, which we've seen a lot of, maybe, somewhere outside of Mos Eisley Spaceport. And we go there, and we're at the palace of Jabba the Hutt. Oh, you know what? They start off with the crawl that fills you in. So the crawl of the movie said, okay, chapters 1, 2, 3, 6, Return of the Jedi. Star Wars, the Empire's working on, I don't know if I read this, but it confused me later, but I think they were working on a new Death Star. Rebel Alliance has been trying to get, scattered across the galaxy. Luke Skywalker hints, but somewhere the crime lord, Jabba the Hutt, what'll happen next? Just something like that. Darth Vader is at the height of his powers with the Emperor Palpatine. And soon, they have a crushing grip. It won't be long till they have a crushing grip on the galaxy. So that didn't help us. But so I think R2D, so it opens with maybe some desert shots. So then let's just say this happens. In my mind, it did. It didn't though, but I'm trying to remember. They show up at what do you call that thing? Jabba's palace. And very much like the Wizard of Oz, something asks them, what do you want? And they say, we're here to see Lord Jabba or whatever, Lord Hutt. And then just like C-3PO says, how rude. I don't appreciate your tone. Because it has like this camera eye. And then it says, eventually they say something. They said, let us in. Because, we're very, very valuable and we could be, we've been gifted to the Lord Jabba. So I think they go in and we go into Jabba's palace. Jabba's got rockin' band and eats a lot of stuff. He's got, what do you call those, like something that laughs at all his jokes, the pets. He's got people that work for him. And you can see that Jabba lives in the world of vice. And at some point, we see Princess Leia working undercover. And I don't know how long it takes to reveal that also, and this was one of the cooler action figures, is that Lando Calrissian is also working undercover. So I think that's slowly revealed. And C-3PO says, basically, I'm here to work for you. I think a gift from Luke Skywalker or something, or maybe a trade. I can't remember, because of your majesty or whatever. And then I think there's a sequence that goes by, and maybe R2 is like serving drinks, and C-3PO is like has to run, is a protocol droid, can speak whatever billion languages. And we saw this palace at the end of the second season of Mandalorian, which was cool because it was a similar sequence. Then, and we see the Grimorian Guard, who are like the guards of Jabba's tough guys. Then at some point we get this mysterious sound effects and doors opening, and then in comes cloaked, just like I guess is similar to the end of the second season of Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker, cloaked undercover. So at some point, here's a spoiler. At some point, Mandalorian and, oh, no, this is in the wait a second. I'm confused about the timelines now. Because at the end of The Mandalorian, it's a younger Luke Skywalker, younger than the Return of the Jedi Skywalker, right? Is that correct, or am I way off? Or is the Luke Skywalker older? Oh, yeah, Mandalorian takes place after Return of the Jedi. Okay. So that was just my mistake, among many. Okay, that solves that. So Jabba's having a party or whatever. That's all, Jabba's, putting on Vice. Then this cloaked figure shows up and has no trouble with all of Jabba's henchmen and says, hey, I'm here for Han Solo and my droids and all that. And the Jabba says, your tricks won't work on me because I'm too smart. And Luke says, well, I'm pretty tough. So, and then Jabba has a secret door where Luke goes to visit Jabba's pet, who's this dog that keeps drooling. And Jabba says, if you can't, if you don't want to be covered in drool, because I heard that grosses you out. And I think this was a stop motion sequence. So then we have, again, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but we have Luke dealing with in the stop motion sequence, dealing with the dog and trying to get the dog to just say, hey, if they give the dog, you just got to brush the dog's teeth, really. So Luke figures out if he brushes the dog's teeth, the dog will stop drooling. Problem solved. But it takes a while. Now, looking back on it now, I say, did Luke know this was going to happen because of something that happens later? But I don't know. So, but also Luke's trapped, because it's a secret door. Meanwhile, Lando goes and tries to rescue Han Solo. I don't know if I guess he defrosts him. And Chewie's down there too. Or is Chewie... Yeah, I can't remember if Chewie's with him or not, because Chewie's pretty mad at Lando. But whatever, he defrosts Han. But Han can't see because it takes a while for your eyesight to come back. So that happens. And they get discovered. So they get caught too. Now, I don't think Princess Leia got discovered, though. So she's still undercover, I believe. But I've been wrong about everything else. So then Jabba says, okay, I got a better idea for all these, all these punks. Now, it could be that Lando's still undercover, though, and he doesn't get caught. I can't remember. I'm feeling like Lando is still undercover at this point. So maybe it's just Luke had rescued Han and Chewie. So I don't know. But let's just say those three are busted. Everybody else is still undercover. So they say, okay, we're going to take you out to the desert to the Sarlacc, which it turns out the Sarlacc, dealt with the Krayt Dragon. The Krayt Dragon dealt with the Sarlacc at some point, I think, because I think that's how Justified got his armor, Boba Fett's armor. But anyway, not important yet. So they go out there, they're on these skiffs. But Jabba has this giant party barge. Now you could get this, I don't know if you could get the party barge, but you could definitely, at least somebody I played with had that skiff, which was cool. And it's kind of like a pirate movie at this point. So that Luke has to walk the plank and they're going to make Han and Luke walk the planks. So I believe all that stuff happened. So then they're on the skiff. Boba Fett's there watching over because Boba Fett was the one with Darth Vader, one of the people with Darth Vader that busted Han Solo. So they take him out and they're going to make him walk the plank and meet this Sarlacc, a pit of Sarlaccian pit or something. And Jabba says, oh boy, is this, this thing, this is exactly what you deserve. They're probably making bets on it. Great action sequence. I'm not doing it justice, obviously. But Luke had already thought of this or something because he has like his lightsaber inside of, what do you call that thing? What's that thing called? R2-D2. So R2-D2 at some point throws Luke his lightsaber. He does you see over these sequences of how he's progressed as a Jedi, and his powers increased, his abilities have increased. And so Luke does a bunch of moves. And also, I think even in this scene, we see that Luke has become somewhat he's become a little bit of a cyborg. Meanwhile, there's like one sequence where Han can't see and he has to free Chewie or Lando. Then Boba Fett and a couple other people go and visit the Sarlacc. So that was like we thought that was it for Boba Fett. But a lot of good action. And C-3PO probably runs around talking too much. And Princess Leia deals with Jabba. I don't know. I felt like that was back at the palace, but maybe it happened on the barge. I wonder if Aldebarge was on the barge. But so whatever, they get away. Basically, spoiler, they get away. Now I'm not exactly sure what happens next. Surprise. But I think they all get out. They must have parked somewhere nearby. Somehow Lando pulled all this off. So I don't know how many years this took, this deep cover, because Lando was in deep cover, so was Leia. But I guess somewhere they had the Millennium Falcon and Luke's X-Wing parked within the region. And I think maybe they cover this by phone call or something, but Luke says, I got to go to Dagobah. I got to go to the Dagobah system with R2. Got somebody I got to deal with. And they say, okay, we got to go meet with Admiral Akbar and everybody else that knows what they're doing. And they say, okay, to talk to you, we'll meet up with you at some point in the future. So they go, so then the sequence splits. So if we follow Millennium Falcon, we have Lando Calrissian, Han Solo, Princess Leia Organa, C-3PO, and Chewbacca. I'm pretty sure this is when Admiral Akbar is still functioning as the Admiral, but it could be, I think so. So they go and they say, okay, they say the Death Star is almost fully operational. Maybe it even is operational. And I think as a kid, even though they said it multiple times that they were building a second Death Star, I still kept thinking, is this an old Death Star just got damaged and they're repairing it? And I'm not even positive, but I think it was a new Death Star, which, I mean, again, I'm sure there's been comedy and even Clerks, but even in the season of Mandalorian, I mean, that's a lot of investment. I remember the movie Contact with Jodie Foster. And that movie had a similar but Earth-based premise about, like, investing all this money in a spaceship. But at least they kind of explained, oh, no, like, this is a spoiler. But they said, okay, we also are building a second one secretly in case this one didn't work out. So I don't know if that's how the Death Star worked. But anyway, they say, yeah, they're building this Death Star. But they learn, while they're building it, it's covered by this shield that's based on this moon on Endor. So we can't get to it to deal with it unless somebody goes, it's this powerful shield. You got to be on the planet to get rid of the shield. So they say, okay, well, Han Solo and Princess Leia And Lando said, well, was Lando there? I think Lando comes in later because Lando has his own sidekick. Now, that's what I'd like to see, a standalone Donald Glover Lando movie or TV show or whatever program, starring Donald Glover, directed by Donald Glover. But so, I don't know. So, because I say, well, who's that dude? He was a gill-based being. Or what was Lando? I don't know. He couldn't do it. Maybe he could do it. Let's see. Where was Lando? I mean, how did Lando become head of Bespin? I'd like to know that too. Okay, but so back to wherever I was now. Where am I? Okay, so that's Endor. That's the moon. Forest moon of Endor. Or the forest moon Endor. Forest moon. That's where the shield is. That's protecting. And it's going to be fully operational and have a view of like, I don't know, the central, wherever Admiral Akbar is based. But Admiral Akbar is actually in the, I don't know, wherever the Rebel Alliance is, they can't let this thing go fully operational. But, the Empire at this point is at full strength. Also, at some point, I don't know if it's during this movie, I guess it is, because Luke's realized that Darth Vader's his father. We do learn that Leia is Luke's sister and the daughter of Darth Vader. That's revealed at some point during this film. Okay, so they say, yeah, we'll lead the team going to, we'll land on Endor undercover. We're going to wear camouflage and stuff. And then we'll go deal with these, we'll break into the place of shield. We'll try to time it, shut the shield down. Meanwhile, Luke returns, to the Dagobah system. And I think some of this was in the Timothy Zahn books. Maybe I read some of these Star Wars books other than those. But Luke returns to the Dagobah system, ostensibly to complete his training that he abandoned in the last movie. And I can't remember what Yoda says, but Yoda says, basically, let's have some soup and tea and talk about it. Try you must, patience, the grip, tries to give him, he's trying to tell him the truth teller. And I don't know, I think he was more accepting the fact Luke wasn't there. And maybe he trains more. Maybe he did all his training in Return of the Jedi. Empire Strikes Back. I'm not sure, when he's riding around on his back and all that stuff. But so, Luke returns to talk to the teacher. I think in this movie is when he has to go into the cave, and he goes in the cave. And again, Ray did this in a different part. I guess she did it in that blowhole, the Nakulele blowhole, and when she went down there. But I guess it has to do with the Force or Jedi stuff that you go to this like place where you kiss mysticism in some sense, or maybe you're kissed by the mysticism. And so Luke goes in there and it kind of shows you, because the one thing about being a Jedi is like, you can't be consumed by your fears. So like you have to, you can't be consumed by wanting what you want or wanting to be released from your fears totally. And also you can't turn to anger and hate. So for the most part, good stuff. And I think this cave is supposed to train you or whatever, or show you. But I guess that would have been in the other movie because it shows Luke inside Darth Vader, and that freaks Luke out. So that probably did happen in Empire Strikes Back. So I don't know if he goes to the cave in this movie. Now, the Yoda toy from Return of the Jedi I had. Now, it had the cool things about the Yoda toy was Yoda had a pet that he wore around his neck. He had his cane. And he had a cloth robe, all of which were very easy to lose. So you'd lose the pet first, or the cane first, then the pet, and then hopefully the robe would stay on. So I have no idea what happens on Dagobah, other than that at some point Yoda says, listen, buddy, it's been great, but I got to lie down and go to the big, big macaroon or macaroon in the sky and, meet up with Obi-Wan and maybe Luke talks to Obi-Wan. I don't know. But he says, put a blanket on me and comfort me, Luke. And Luke says, oh, boy, that's tough stuff. So, and then I don't know what happens to Luke after it. So I guess I'm missing some stuff, so hopefully I'll remember that. And now it makes sense why we had such a big sequence at Jabba's palace, like that two different good action sequences. Because otherwise I wouldn't have remembered anything. So now we're back on the forest moon of Endor. And we got a team there, right? We got, now I don't know if they didn't land in the right place or what their plan was. I can't remember any of that. Other than that they have to disable the shields. But so it's Leia, Han, Chewie, everybody else. So they're supposed to be running undercover. And this is, again, a new effect sequence, great sound design. But at some point, the stormtroopers, or these were something else, scout troopers, they were called. They rode these things called speeder bikes, which, again, we get to see in The Mandalorian. But at this time, these effects are really top of the line. And in some sense, probably still stand the test of time against some of the other, because I don't know if it's a balanced practical. Beautiful forest. I mean, you're talking like Northern California, redwood forest. If you ever want to relive it, it's not an easy hike, but you could do the one-way hike. It goes from, it's called the Steep Ravine Trail. It goes from Mount Tam down to Stinson Beach. It's a pretty long hike, but if you do it one way, you could get a taste of, and that way you're going downhill. You really get a taste for Endor. But so, what else do we need to know? So Leia and Han, I don't know about where Chewie or everybody else is. C-3PO's with them. But so they get into chases with these speeder bikes. I want to say Luke was there at this point, but Luke was there at some point because he had to have a face-off with them. Maybe he wasn't. No, maybe he wasn't. I don't know. Anyway, because I don't know. So who knows what happened to Luke? I guess I thought I remembered. But Hans, also Darth Vader knows he's visiting to do an inspection or talk to the Emperor. Maybe they just were living there. Because you say, why not? It's a powerful space station. It's protected, by a shield on a moon that we didn't even investigate everything on the moon, but, good enough. But so they deal with these speeder bikes, right? And that was a really cool sequence. I do remember the front of a speeder bike getting cut off that I thought was by a lightsaber, but maybe I'm wrong. But so whatever. I don't know. Maybe was it Luke, Leia, and Han? I don't know. But so it's cool action sequence. Pretty sure Luke wasn't there, but maybe he was. And I just don't remember it. And then I don't know why. Maybe there was some other. Did they have to go on any other adventures before they got to the moon of Endor? I don't know. But so whatever. They end up. They deal with the speeder bikes. I think one person got away. At some point, they're all split up. It takes them a while. They eventually all get back together. Then they're looking and Chewbacca tries to grab something. They get caught in a net. And the next thing they know, they're with the Ewoks. And the Ewoks, this is their home world, this moon. And so they say, who are these people? We don't like them. And they look a lot like the Empire, which is causing us trouble. So I think they're going to deal with them. There's a communication barrier, but then they realize they have some belief system where C-3PO has like a godlike status to them. Okay, but Luke is there. So I guess Luke was there the whole time. So I was wrong about that for sure. So maybe there was some sequence. Maybe there's just like Luke said, I'll meet you at Endor or whatever. Find my friends, and I'm going to go to Dagobah. Then I'll meet up with you. Because, yeah, so anyway, so then they think C-3PO is a god. Luke uses the Force to play that up. So he says, free my friends, and then they realize the Ewoks are actually dealing in a, they're constantly getting harassed by the Empire, and they're way outnumbered. So they say, okay, let's work together to deal with these Empire, because we got to get to this this bunker where the shields operated out of. So interesting. And so yeah, and I don't know. So then they come up with a plan. The plan is really cool. And they enact a plan. So they say, okay, we're going to capture this bunker. And we're going to do it together. And basically, like, it's like one of those ones, it's a roller coaster, right? They do all this cool stuff. They use more, like, non-traditional, like, they use traditional ways to deal with these, AT-AT walkers, which were new, which like were already, or maybe there was a couple AT-AT walkers in other movies, but they're like two-legged. Oh no, so they're not ATSTs or something. But they have all this battle, and then it seems like they all is one. They finally get to they end up getting separated. And I think like Leia gets to and a couple other people get to the blast doors, and they're trying to break the code, but they can't break the code to get the door open. Then they think all is lost, but it really that Han and Chewie, were like, I don't know, everything works out. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure Luke just flies up to the, what do you call it, the Death Star, and Darth Vader's like, let that ship land, like my son's coming to meet me or something. So I guess my memories are like worse than terrible about this. So I'm pretty sure. Okay, so the battle goes on. I'm trying to think of anything else I remember about the battle. But basically, because I'm saying, okay, they still did everything, but they still can't get in. How do they get into the bunker? But I guess I don't know. So they're trying to do that, but they got to time it like a lot of these movies, like with these shields. The whole rebel forces coming out of hyperspace right at this one time. I guess Luke's already on the ship, and maybe that was after the shield went down. And I'm pretty sure Admiral Akbar is there because he says, yeah, don't worry about it. Like when's the shield coming down? Maybe they were already there, and they say, you got to hurry up with the shield. Now, meanwhile, Luke's on there, right? Now, this is a big sequence, especially for a kid, because this was like serious intensity. And my dad, after the movie, wanted to talk a lot about the Ewoks and this, like, his generation and kind of like where that fit in. But I guess as a kid, I was kind of struck by this. So Luke, I think, goes and says, hey, I got to deal with, hey, Dad. He says, yeah, let's talk. And Luke says, what's going on? And he says, well, I work for the Emperor. What if we just cut the Emperor out of this? So let's go meet with him, but let's just get rid of him. And you and I can, rule the galaxy together, like I said last time. And Luke says, nah, I'm not interested in that. He goes, well, let's just go talk to the governor. And, or maybe no, I guess like, they go like, maybe there's like different pauses and they're talking while they're, having lightsaber interactions. But yeah, so I guess they're having like lightsaber interactions the whole time. And then they end up in the Emperor's like throne room. And there's all this drama. And Luke ends up besting Darth Vader. And the Emperor's watching the whole time. And even Vader's like, come on, we could take the Emperor out. And then the Emperor's like trying to encourage exactly what Yoda warned him about. You know, react, don't be, you know, don't think it out or, you know, feel your feelings and then try to self-soothe and then decide. Just make a rash decision based on your strong, intense feelings. And so he keeps trying to encourage Luke to do that, which would be adios, Darth Vader. Now, and then Luke says, no, that's not how it goes. And so then the Emperor gets really mad. He has like lightning fingers. He's like kind of like a sorcerer for sure. And he uses lightning fingers on Luke. Then Darth Vader makes a choice. He sees Luke. Luke could let him go. So then he goes against the Emperor, toss it. Now, I guess it didn't work out. I don't know how the Emperor pulled that off, but I wasn't paying, you know, I don't know anything. But he tosses the Emperor, but you can't really toss somebody while they're shooting lightning bolts because then you get lightning bolted yourself. So he says, oh boy, Luke, I'm totally in rough shape. Let me see your face. Like, why don't you kiss my face or something or touch my cheek so I can see you with my own eyes. You're my son. And it really is a heartfelt moment. For the kid, it was like the effects were like a little bit intense. So I said, oh, boy. But, I mean, this was before those other movies got made. So you get to see Darth Vader for the first time, which I guess was like a key progression. That's like, oh, this is a human being beneath all this armor. And he's someone's daddy. I guess he was never anybody's daddy, though. He was just like, he's still a little boy. I mean, I guess that's what we learned through the whole arc. And Luke holds him, and I think he even takes him. Now, meanwhile, the shield is down, but things, of course, still aren't going easy. And I don't know if they have to do the same thing last time. I'm pretty sure, and I don't know if Luke has anything to do with it or anybody else. Because I don't know, that's a lot to put on Luke if he had to get off and then go do something. But I'm pretty sure that at the last second, Lando and his Gill buddy come in, and they're spinning around. And but I think that also happened in the first movie, but it was Luke or Han. But anyway, Lando comes. I think Lando's the one who takes out the Death Star. But maybe Luke does something on board. I don't remember. Then everybody gets away. And then it has to get all put back together, which actually they did accomplish, especially to the little kids. So then they just have a party with the Ewoks. And the Ewoks are super cute. You know, I think they're Henson creations, so they are popular with little kids, but they didn't really fit as so much with the kind of cold technology of Star Wars. And so I don't know how well it fit for playing, like with your own play acting or your own creations. I mean, I liked the Ewoks, but I didn't have a lot of Ewok toys. Anyway, so the Ewoks have a big party. They say goodbye to Darth Vader at the party. Luke tells Leia that he's his sister. Her hair's down and everything. Then Leia says, Han says, well, I guess you're going to marry Luke, huh? Or whatever, something like that. She goes, no, he's my brother. I love you. And he goes, oh, I love you too. So they say, oh boy, that's tied up nicely. Then we see Luke's dad, Anakin Skywalker, technically, old Annie. You want to know backstory, watch the Annie musical from Star Kid. And then, what else happens? So then, then we see Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Annie Skywalker all together. They made amends somehow. I mean, maybe in the other universe it's easier to make amends or whatever. It goes quicker. Or you have total Force knowledge. You say, oh, well, people make mistakes. So they all do that. And then I think that's it. Everybody says, well, this is great. And then it flashes. And in some sense, you said, okay, that was it. That's too bad the movies are over. I mean, for me, I could still had opportunity to go back eventually and see the first two movies. But yeah, I guess that's what I remember from Return of the Jedi, which is not I would not say it's super accurate, but yeah, that's the tale of the tape in my mind of Return of the Jedi. Thanks everybody and good night. All right, I want to thank everybody that supported the show on Apple Podcasts recently. Academy Spatula says nerds will love it. The podcast really puts me to sleep. Really does put me to sleep, but on the rare occasion it doesn't. I enjoy hearing all the weird stuff Scooter talks about. Not only does his voice lull you into a dream state, it's funny, intelligent, and he cares about issues. Thank you. Then RK says, don't know how it works, but this podcast is amazing. If this is your first time listening or searching online for something to help you, then listen to this podcast. Seems a bit strange at first. When Scoots talks and the conversation meanders into random chat and stories, it's amazing how your mind shifts from overthinking and anxiety to settle down and wind down. Really does work wonders for me. I used to use this podcast a couple of years ago, and now I'm having some trouble getting a good sleep. It was my first protocol. Stick with it and happy snoozing. CRO says, thank you. Oh, this is seems like a fake review, even though it's 5 stars. Seems like it says, hot barbecue sauce, paper cup next to me. I'm 9 years old. This is from Gray Fox 2. Over. Gray Fox 2, come in, over. Are you 9 years old? You're a kid. Your mom was listening. And like a kid, I wanted to try it. It's amazing. I love it. Deal with ADHD, have trouble sleeping. Sometimes this really helps. Been loving it so much the first time I tried. My mom said it will keep you awake after I tried to tell my mom the truth so I could listen more. Love it. Thank you so much for my sleep. Thank you. Over and out, Gray Fox 2. Karen from Australia says it works. Tried so many sleep aids, anxiety, difficult stuff. I wake many times. And the only thing that's worked is sleep with me. Thanks, Scoots. WWQT says, wow, all these 1-star reviews don't know what they're talking about. You put me to bed every night, I'm sleeping in my own house. I don't often go to sleepovers, so when I do, my insomnia kicks in and you're my saving grace. And I think that's everything. I think I got all the other reviews. Thank you so much, everybody who took the time to review the podcast. Sleeping exists a free podcast because of people that support the show directly on Patreon or support our sponsors, and we grow by people just spreading the word about podcasting, believe it or not, in general. We do have a referral program that I'll talk about next. That's a huge way to help the show if you've been listening on a regular basis, too. Thanks.